were a few witnesses who were not brought in, and they were witnesses who, one didn't make a statement. There were a couple who just disappeared. We spent a lot of time searching for them, and with the assistance of the FBI, but we're unable to locate a couple of them. So none of the information, though in one case I think we had a statement from the witness, it wasn't presented to the grand jury. I think there were a couple of them. Yes, ma'am. I think we got time for a couple more here.
You cite Officer Wilson's description of Brown's movement towards him as a charge. Was there any other evidence that might have led the grand jury to conclude Wilson had reasonable cause for the use of deadly force?
Well, again, I think you have to have, I'm not privy to the deliberations, and so I can't say what they saw as highly significant or not, but they had all the information, and they were charged with, and they were told that here's what the law requires, that you consider all of the evidence and the information. And so it's not just, as in most cases, it is not just one bit of evidence that says, all right, that's it, that's all we need to hear. It's everything that is presented, which is why we wanted to make this as complete and thorough as possible. Yes, ma'am.
What justification are you going to be using to release the grand jury evidence? I know there's been some dispute as to whether a court order is going to be needed to present what it is you're saying you're able to present tonight.
I won't bore you with all the legal details and technicalities of it, but essentially it is now a closed investigation, which makes it an open file. It's a lot more complicated and complex than that, but essentially that's how the Sunshine Law operates. When it's a closed investigation, when it's a closed case, it's an open file. And so that's the basis, and we're following the Sunshine Law. Although there's no specific request for it, I assume there would be requests, but I thought it was important in the first place to release the information. So, yes, ma'am.
Bob, obviously many are not happy with this decision tonight, especially the family of Michael Brown. If they are watching, what would you want to say to them this evening?
Well, as I said at the very outset, my heart goes out to them. Regardless of the circumstances, they lost a young man. They lost a young life. And I've said many times before that the pain that goes along with that loss is just something that most people can't understand. And so, but at the same time, everything was presented, and it's things don't, but everything was presented, everything was given to the grand jury, it was all put in front of them, and the 12 people made a decision that based upon all that evidence, that as tragic as this is, it was not a crime, it was not one that where charges should have been filed. It doesn't lessen this tragedy by the fact that it was a justifiable use of force or self-defense. There's still a loss of life here, and the family is going to have that loss forever. That will be with them for a long time. No police officer or no young man should ever be killed by a police officer, and no police officer should ever be put in that position. And so that's why I keep urging people to keep this talk going. So many times, and we've seen in the past where the discussion starts and then it fades away, and then we have the same issues, and we're back here again. I don't ever want to be back here. And so we have to keep that discussion going, and everybody has to stay engaged in it. This is a horrible tragedy, and we don't want to see any repeat. So thank you.